Now I ain't trying to come off cocky, and I don't know who got you thinking you can stop me. You can put a lid on it, but you can't top me, cause there ain't nothing left for you to do but sit and watch me take off. Let's go, let's go, and take off. Let's go, come on, let's go, and take off. Let's go, come on, let's go, and take off. Let's go, come on, let's go. Now I ain't trying to come off corny, but baby girl, whatever you need is on me. Everything up in it is starting to bore me, so I'ma need for you to hit the runway for me and take off. Let's go, come on, and take off. Let's go, come on, let's go, and take off. Let's go, come on, let's go, and take off. Let's go, let's go.
I'm Lady Red,
and I'm Silent. Welcome out to No Gravity.
No gravity, no gravity. That's right. How you doing, Silent?
That's right, I'm good, Lady Red. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
All right, No Gravity, Don't Be Held Down. It's the TV show where we touch on topics, personal, and we want to hear the realest from the streets of Atlanta.
That's right, that's right. What we talking about today?
We got the topic of police brutality going down today.
Big topic, big topic. We do have joining us in our panel today. We have Sergeant Charles Rambo. We also have Dominique Huff. We have Wilbur Wright. And we also have Murdoch that's going to join in with us on the panel. We're going to talk about the topic, and we're going to hit our audience and everything, and make sure that you give us feedback on nogravityatl.com. So, with that being said,
turn up.
Don't be held down. It is No Gravity. Welcome back to No Gravity.
No Gravity.
That's right. So we'll go ahead and introduce our panel, and they're going to introduce themselves. We're going to start to the left and then go to the right.
Well, good afternoon. I want to thank No Gravity for entertaining and bringing information to the community. My name is Charles Rambo. I'm a retired lieutenant from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. In addition to candidate for Fulton County Sheriff, I've written a book on racial profiling, dealing with police brutality called Fruits of the Poisonous Tree. And I hope to be able to share some of those topics with you to better empower the community.
Definitely. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dominic Huff, founder of the South Florida Business Coalition and the 10th Amendment Media Group. Appreciate you, Lady Red and Silence, for bringing me onto the show. Definitely a great time and look forward to hearing about it.
Hello, my name is Murdoch. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, raised and born in Decatur, Georgia. On my own record label, OCG, which stands for Only Controlled by God, and I've been doing music for over like 7-8 years right now. And I just want to thank y'all for bringing me out to No Gravity, and we're gonna let it flow. And you hold me in now.
Appreciate you.
My name is Cy Ralph Slam. Most people refer to me as Wilbur Wright. I'm a music entertainer, CEO of Polymo Entertainment, as well as a community activist. I'm originally from Griffin, Georgia, born and raised in Clayton County.
So Murdoch, when you hear the word police brutality, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Well, when I first heard the word police brutality, I grew up a lot like around that, like seeing my dad get into it with police officers over nonsense. You know, him and my mom might get in a small argument. I'm 3-4 years old, you know, seeing the police coming in there beating them. I'm young, so I don't know what's really going on at the time, and blood on the walls, and you know, in my mind, I already had set a standard like, okay, I don't like them. Just being honest on it, you see what I'm saying? And I always think like police brutality happen in the small class areas because they know you can't afford to pay for a lawyer or do a lot of things that the upper class can't do. Like, that's why a lot of stuff go on. You know, I had my experience with the Red Dogs in Atlanta, and I know like one time my car got stolen. I went to go get my car, and I got harassed just for going to look for my car. He went in my pocket. You know, if you go to the media and tell them about it, like, you really ain't gonna get addressed like as if you were staying in a high class area, because they know once they lock you up, put you in the once they put you in jail, you got to pay for bond to get out. You already ain't got no money as it is because you're in a low class area. You're struggling to live as it is. You see what I'm saying? So I just feel like police brutality is happening in every area of the Atlanta, Georgia, but in majority happen like in the low class.
Okay.
You know, and they know you can't afford to get a lawyer. Then when you get a lawyer, you got to get bond. You got to get out. The lawyers charge so much money, so that's why they use your rights against you. And I think a lot of people who don't get the proper education in the lower class area, they don't really know their rights like they should. So I just feel like it's alive though. You know what I'm saying? It's private. So you know, it's just modern day slavery to me. If you want my opinion.
Okay. Well, would you like to touch on that, man?
Yeah, you know, when I think of police brutality, it's unfortunate, and it's not anything that just started now. It's something that's been going on. I definitely agree with Murdoch. I think one thing that we don't do, we don't apply ourselves to learning the laws. I think no matter where you go, if you don't know, then people are going to always use it against you. I think in our cases, I think that we do a lot to sort of bring things onto ourselves. And I say that, I say that simply because we're profiled. You know, being a young African-American male in this country, you're profiled before birth. You understand? They already have it set out to you that you're not good for anything. You do come from a low-class area. You're up to no good anyway. And I think a way to avoid this is to stop bringing such attention to ourselves. You know, I tell young kids all the time, man, pull your pants up. You know, I don't have anything against dreads, but what I'm saying is if you're going to have them, you know, understand why you got them to begin with and make sure you keep them lined up, keep a shape up, you know, pull your clothes up on you. Look like you got some business, because the people that look like they're actually doing something are the people that are less likely to go through it. A lot of times what often happens is because of the stereotype is so big, we find ourselves in these poverty-stricken situations. I come from the streets, born and raised in the streets. I did what I had to do in order to survive, to take care of my family. Still would if I had to again. But there are consequences that come with that. There are consequences that come when you're running with a certain crowd. There are certain consequences that come when you're dressed a certain way. It's unfortunate, but you got to understand that's what you're signing up for. So I totally disagree with police brutality, but I'm not the one to bash everything without trying to give a full-fledged understanding on it. I think a lot of things can be avoided simply by the action that we choose and the way that we address ourselves and carry ourselves. And then you have ignorance, and it's not a racial thing.
That's right.
It's just ignorance. You understand what I'm saying? I think the police officers or whatnot, you know, you guys are put here to protect and serve. Don't just serve warrants. Don't serve us with your batons. You understand? But find out what's really going on with us. Because a lot of us don't want to be in these situations that we're in anyway. So stop profiling us. Because we ain't asked to be in these situations a lot of times.
Touched on a lot of stuff there.
Gotcha. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the politician. How you doing, Dominique?
I'm doing pretty good. Tough crowd to follow. But when it comes to police brutality, I look at it as misconduct by the police. It's where, like the gentleman said, we're not knowing our rights. No police officer, sheriff's deputy, or whatever have you, has no right to search your stuff without probable cause or a search warrant. Sometimes in traffic stops, we start mouthing off. I tell people, make the traffic stop so unmemorable as possible to where he'll forget to come to court. The issue that comes from is we try to turn a traffic stop or our interactions into street law, street court, to where we think, oh, I'm going to stand up for mine. This person has a gun, batons, stun guns, the radio they call more people. Do you think they're going to believe you or believe them? Then you got internal affairs that you can file a report, but a lot of times it can go in the trash can, depending on, like you said, where you come from or what it's all about. But the whole issue is we got to start being better stewards of the police and start investigating. Remember, everybody, all of us, and the people in the audience, those who are watching, we're the bosses of law enforcement. We are the taxpayers. And we got to start acting like we're their bosses. Because I won't say that later on, let him talk.
That's right. So, Mr. Charles Rambo, your feelings?
Well, it's not really a feeling because that's the basis of police brutality is out of control emotions on both sides. And I greatly respect the two panelists over here who have shared personal experiences. Let's talk right back where police brutality really originates itself from. Throughout the South during the colonial days of racial profile, of the colonial slave trade, which essentially stated that it was okay it was okay to beat, to maim, to kill, or to even torture those particular slaves that were not in compliance. This isn't Charles Rambo speaking. This comes from the Royal Legislature of Georgia that authorized slave patrols. With that came the mindset, a generational pattern that has spanned over the decades, even through the 60s, where police officers used dogs and billy clubs, water hoses, what have you, to suppress the hopes for black people to even want to rise up out of the conditions that they came from. Well, how do we marry that into today? Again, we come back to an emotional state, because when you get into a situation about the use of force, we first must understand through the educational piece, law enforcement has a duty to respond to crimes, to calls for services. With that, they also are authorized in the proper use of force, that it does not become excessive. But based upon the exchange of the emotions and the moment of what's going on, it could go either way, more or less, because the emotional part really comes from the person who is trying to be, the officer is trying to arrest, who does not have proper knowledge and skill of how to not get into a situation that could turn deadly, that could turn serious bodily injury, rather than to, as Dominique said, turn it up into a bravado. Let's get it into a point of compliance. And compliance does not mean that you are bending and bowing down, but you are submitting yourself to a proper authority that if they're doing what they're supposed to do on the right side, then truly you should be doing the same thing. So it's a exchange on both sides, and I hope to talk a little bit more in depth about that as we move forward, about that with the rules of law.
Okay, that sounds pretty good, but my personal opinion about police brutality is not a white or black thing. I think it's mostly the media. Because like if you go on Facebook, you on Instagram, you always see like bad videos. And it's like videos of somebody getting beat. You might see the daughter getting dragged, the mother getting dragged, pregnant, getting stomped on. And these are things that you see in the media. Of course, you know, we got the situation going on in Ferguson. We had the situation going on in Florida. So, and most of it profile, you know, black. So that's like what making people in the uproar. Because like right now, you have people over in Ferguson now just ready to fight. And you, right now, the police and everything, they already like, why are we getting suited up for this? So basically, and that's what the media is showing us. So we are reacting off those things. And that's why this topic is very important to me. So do y'all think that it's like a media, is it really, I know it's bad, but you think a lot of it coming from the media that got us so upset?
Well, honestly, like I said, like what I was saying earlier is I experienced a lot, like coming up, like being judged by just how I am. And I feel like how you saying too, I feel like at the same time, if I want to dress like now, I got on a sweatsuit. If I want to dress this way, if I feel comfortable this way, then I should dress how I want to feel. You see what I'm saying? Because like I got to live my life. You can't live your life just to what other people think about you. Like people might judge, like, oh, he got golds in his mouth, he got diamond rings on, he a drug dealer. But honestly, I'm on my own home improvement business, in my own music business. Okay. You see, so like I don't judge. Like if I go on a little 5 point, I don't go down there and be like, oh, look at the it ain't a racial problem. I don't go down like, look at the dude with the pointy hair. Because a lot of people that you meet, they got dreads and mohawks. They might be the most nicest and loyal people that you might meet. You might meet somebody in the office and they more backstabbing than somebody you might meet in the street. I don't go down there like, look at the white boy with his jeans ripped up. He crazy, he psycho. I don't judge nobody by how they look. I judge you by I give everybody the same boat with the same 2 pedals. If you lose your 2 pedals and your boat float, your boat sink, then that's how you do. I don't never judge a book by its cover and be like, oh, look how she look, look how he look. He ain't no good, she ain't no good. I never put nobody in a situation like that. I always put everybody in one single box. Now, if you disloyal and I lose trust and faith in you, that's how it go. So I never really judge based on the media because I witnessed it firsthand. Okay. But I agree with you on the same thing. It's a lot of negative image and a lot of negativity going on Facebook, and you got a lot of these kids, parents, and their life these days. So they basically judge their life based on what they doing on Facebook with the challenges and I'm gonna smoke weed, I'm gonna do all that. So they basically, so I agree with you on that too. Okay.
All right, so dig it. I think it's deeper than what the eyes can actually meet. I believe that the police brutality and the way that the media is portraying it, I believe that's exactly what they want us to do. They want us to hate law enforcement.
That's right.
They want law enforcement to hate us. I believe that everything that's going on within this country is bigger than this officer across from me can even tell me. I believe the people that really know what's really going on, you got to go up. You know, you got to go as far as the president. You understand what I'm saying? You got to go as far as the CIA. You got to go as far as these global bankers that are actually controlling this country. You understand what I'm saying? I believe that martial law is definitely here. It's definitely around the corner. They're finding new ways to infiltrate these new curfews. They're, we got FEMA, we got this whole Ebola crisis going on. We got all these different situations, you know what I'm saying, to put us into a panic attack, to send us into a frenzy, to send us looking at each other like we the enemy, to have us looking at these officers like they necessarily the enemy. But see, what I do, I'm with this brother right here beside me. I've never been the one to just stereotype. I don't stereotype because I know some good cops. I got a few police officers in my family. I come from a military background. So I know good officers, but I also know the corrupt ones. I know the ones that look at you and feel like you don't have a right to exist. I know those. Wow. But what I would like to tell the public is, it's deeper. It's deeper than what you think it is. Don't trick yourself. And I tell the cats out there, the brothers and sisters that's out there on the street, don't let them trick you off the streets, man. You understand what I'm saying? Because ain't nothing in that penal system for you. That's where they want you to go. That's where they want to test you at. You understand what I'm saying? All these new diseases that they bringing in here, these chips, you know what I'm saying, man? These people getting ready for something bigger than you and I can possibly imagine. So the only thing I'm simply saying is get to know people for who they are, and I'm talking to these officers. Don't let them trick you, you know what I'm saying? If you know what you signed up for, remember why you went to police academy. Remember why you wanted to grow up and become an officer to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? And if you remember where you started at, then you can always get back right. And that's all I got to say about it, to be real.
Sound good to me. Mr. Huff.
Dominique? Well, I got to put my media hat on now. Like the politician hat, I'll put the media hat on. Most media outlets like to sensationalize because they want the ratings, the views, the hits, the shares on social media now. And unfortunately, all the ratchet stuff gets all that attention. I can share something about a story I did 7 years ago. 2 police officers from the Atlanta Police Department. House was catching on fire. Atlanta fire was short staffed, so there was no fire engine. These officers went in and saved a baby. And I did a story about that. Got maybe 3 shares. I did a story about the officer, I think this was College Park, got into a fist fight with somebody. Oh, that story went viral. So we try to put it out there to the point where the law enforcement is starting to distrust us now. Because every agency I covered 3 different counties, with 1 full and 2 half-ones. And a lot of them always say, well, are you a friend of law enforcement or are you a foe of law enforcement? To where you're using the bad incidents, and by all means, please cover that. Hold us accountable. But I want to see the same aggression and the same enthusiasm when we're doing right, when we're lowering the crime, when we are getting people off the streets, when we are helping people. Cover that with the same tenacity as the officer that lost his or her cool or the corruption and all of that. It needs to be fair and balanced, and that's one thing that more media outlets have to start doing because, like you said, this is a social program that's going on here.
That's right.
Like 90% of the media outlets are owned by 6 companies, maybe 92%. But if you look at that and you see this is an independent media show, I have an independent media show, and a lot of people have their things. We got to start being the media that we want to see. We got to start showing the images that we want. And I challenge law enforcement, these PIOs, to really engage the media. And that's one thing that I have a problem with certain of my agencies. You only send me a press release about the parade or the traffic. Other than that, you're not answering the phone. But when the bad stuff happens, like with this gentleman right here, let's say he had an incident with the DeKalb County PD. He's going to call me. He's going to send me an email. He's going to come to my office and say, hey, I was minding my own business at Stonecrest Mall. I was walking out of the restaurant and I got roughed up. Guess what? That's the story. Now I call you, DeKalb PD, and say, hey, what happened to this gentleman's case right here? Now you're in reactionary mode instead of being proactionary and say, hey, who's at Stonecrest Mall? We say the store for being robbed. So I think we got to do a better job.
That's right. So we're going to take a break. And we'll come right back, and then we'll get your opinion on the media.
It's right for the ladies. Call this one Glide.
And it's okay to be a gentleman. It don't make you a punk, fellas.
Watch me, and watch me good, but don't copy. Now put you straight into it. I don't walk, I glide. Now come my ride right there. That's your ride. You deserve it. You worked so hard, you earned it. The very best, why settle for less? Girl, you blessed. After God made love, he must have made you nest. Now that's a cold line. Ain't never told another one that same line. Every time we come, it's at the same time. I try to give an inch, she take the whole 9. Y'all ain't lying, it's a shame, huh? Never take a good girl for granted. Wake up in the morning and this poop vanish. Seal with somebody else and can't stand it. Don't panic, look.
Glide, baby. Check it out.
Angel wings. When we make love, girl, the angels sing. Gifts like you are what the angels bring. I didn't make this up, no Maybelline. You can lean on me and depend on me. With you by my side, I can do anything. All I wanna do is try to do the right thing. You make me wanna settle down and build a team. Go and get you a ring, I'm not selling no dreams. I'm sorry that your ex did those things to you, but everybody's not out to hurt you, boo. I'm not him, and he's not me, and this is true. Let me say this too. Since I met you, I had a change of heart. Right from the start, I can feel those sparks. Never let nothing tear us apart. Hey, tear us apart, no.
No gravity, don't
No
be
gravity.
held down.
That's right. So before we went to break, we was talking about media, you know, profiling and everything. And so we got to get with Mr. Charles Rambo and get your opinion about the subject.
Well, let's go back with media coverage.
Yeah, the media coverage.
Media coverage is covered under the First Amendment, the freedom of the press to cover situations. So with that, I looked and saw that a big media affiliate was sued because they felt that what they put on the television was inaccurate. And the courts had ruled that TV station doesn't have to be truthful, they just have to be able to report the news. So as Dominique stated just a second ago, in terms of what is the story of the day, let's not make our community the focal point of making that story for today. Now, as gentleman said a second ago, you know, we're living in an age of reenactment or creating the particular news, even if you have to use actors in order to make that excitement. But with that, for the day-to-day young brother or sister, don't create a scene or don't create a situation that would bring the news cameras to your community to have to cover anything relating towards police brutality or police interaction. But that's where I applaud you all, is the fact that you are calling and you have brought a community-based approach to it that's unfiltered, that you want the exact knowledge. Big-time media affiliates don't want that type of information out there. So again, we have to come back to your approach to it of bringing people, and this is another thing that I stated, and I'll close it out. You know, they always talk to the activists. They always talk to the activists. But they never talk to the everyday common brother or sister or person in law enforcement who actually lives this. So we got to get away from it being scripted and actually coming into getting the reality of what we face in law enforcement with the community in order to make those things better that can stay out of it.
Definitely. And that's what we're going to do. That's right. There's no gravity. Don't be held down. That's what we're about.
I just wanted to, I know we touched on a lot of stuff and staying in the media just a little bit and stuff. Like, do you feel that they're doing their job? I know as far as, like, you know, the Fergusons, the Trayvon Martin cases and stuff like that. Like, when you gentlemen, as men, as you saw that, I mean, you being young black males and, you know, black males, how did you feel about that? And do you feel like the media is doing their job as far as covering it the way that they want to cover it to make you feel a certain way? So, like, how was your reaction to it when you first heard the news? Because I know it's a big topic, and I'm sure you heard about it. Any of the police brutality. Like, what type of feelings do you feel inside when you first see that on the media news coverage, like, and how do you react to it? As far as not wanting to go out there and either do what the people are doing, you know what I mean, as far as, you know, the rioting, whatever the case may be, or do you want to go out there and help the community, and how would you do that? And I mean, anybody can touch on it. You can touch on it first if you want.
Don't let them trick you off the streets.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's right.
Don't let them trick you off the streets. We got to start using our heads. You got to understand, you playing into a game. You cannot win it. We don't make the rules, and the rules are meant to be broken. They don't abide by their own rules all the time. As I said, when you want to speak on police brutality, I am talking to the officers when I say, remember why you went to police academy to begin with. Remember how you felt when you were a kid, you know, and you saw a police officer that you admire, and that made you want to go a step farther and make it a career. Because I'm sure when you first came into it, you didn't have a corrupt mentality. You wasn't thinking about that. You was thinking about your community. You was thinking about helping others. And what I say to my brothers and sisters that are actually out here in these protests and these riots, we got to figure out another solution.
That's right.
Because singing, we've been singing for 400 years. That ain't got us nowhere. So I think we need to come up with a diplomatic solution. Because I tell you, you're not going to put your hands on me. You understand that? You're not going to put your hands on me. So I don't want to have to take no force and no aggression towards you, but you're not going to put your hands on me neither. So I think we just need to go back and start respecting each other as humans. We all have a right to exist. We all have a right to be respected. And that's what it boils down to.
I got a two-part answer to this. in regards to the media situation, like it's turned, don't go trick you off the streets. We have to borrow that. I look at Ferguson is a local issue. If it was like, I'm sure the local media did their job and somehow that story got picked up by national media and that's why everybody knows about it. Ferguson's happened every day. Ferguson's happened at East Point, College Park, Alpharetta, Hateville, you name the jurisdiction. Why doesn't that story get covered? And what irks me to no end is people will ignore the issues here and go down to Ferguson, Sanford, Florida, all these cities that nobody knew what it was at until this became the issue. You sing, you march, you're making selfies, you're selling books, you're trying to push movies, you're having. It looks like it's a big. Ferguson has become a big flea market now. I've seen more people trying to sell their books. I've seen more of these internet personalities going in there taking selfies. I've seen people use this to be keyboard commandos. To the point we have really lost sight of the true issue of what happens. We had a person that was trying to go. It was an officer and a citizen. And this story has gotten so convoluted, but getting back to the confines of this question, it has elicited the wrong emotions out of a lot of people. It has further bridged that divide between us. But the issue comes from your politicians. They're caught up in rent seeking, which tickets, fines, fees, and all of that, where they take this stuff personal to the point they don't care if all they want are stats. I arrested 400 people. We wrote 500 tickets. Oh, that looks good. But look at the convictions. Very little. But now you're caught up in the system. We're dealing with all these issues, and now the relationships between police and the citizens are strained while these politicians are laughing. I put the gun at the head where it belongs to, which are those politicians. Ferguson has a majority white council, but a predominantly black city. Let's bring that home. The city of College Park, 14,000 residents, white mayor, white city council member, 3 black councilors. There's a district, Ward 2, only 80 people voted in that ward in a recent city council election. So before people come at me and talk about we need to do something about Ferguson, all these white folks hate us, please explain to me why 80 people in a council district in the city of College Park are voting. And it's more than 80 people that live over there. Then we can start talking about everything else. We got to take care of home first.
I got you. Hey.
Okay, so I'm gonna address the issue on like how y'all was saying about how the media, how they address it, and how I feel like when they address it on the media like that, it bringing it out to light. You know what I'm saying? It's shining light on what they doing to let them know that we gonna speak up for what y'all doing. It ain't right. Like if you let somebody they take your kindness for granted, and they take it for weakness. And if you don't address it and put it out there on the media and let them know, y'all ain't finna keep stepping on us. You know, we gonna put it out there and let people know what's going on. The only reason I feel that a lot of stuff don't in Atlanta don't or in any other city don't get addressed like that because they might wake up, man, you see how they did that dude over there on Glenwood? See how they beat that man up on Columbia? Then 15, 20 minutes later, they on about their way. And they ain't putting no issue on it because it ain't they family members and it ain't happening to them. You see what I'm saying? So like, when they don't address it like Ferguson, they see all that now, it make them think twice before they go do some of the stuff. They like, nah, I don't want to be put in the media, like I don't want my job put on the line like that. Cause you see, I don't know if you noticed, but the officer who killed Mike Bryant in Ferguson, he's stepping down. Yeah. He don't want, he's stepping down. He don't want to be there because he don't want that attention. And see, if he would have did that and it wasn't nothing to it, and I'm not saying because I ain't gonna make it a race issue, but I don't know if he do got a race issue, but if he would have did it, it would have happened. He can have somebody else. But you see, when so-and-so killed Mike, I ain't do nothing to him, I'm going to go do it. But now, it'll make another one think twice before they just go out and do something like that without justice being served. All we do is be pleading for justice, but we ain't going to get it if we don't speak up. Like you say, we've been marching and singing for so long, they don't like it. But I just feel like tearing up other people's store, like that ain't really getting nowhere. You know, you don't fight ignorance with ignorance. You don't do that, you know. So I just feel like when you speak up and let people know, like if your mama or your parents see you doing something, they don't say nothing, you gonna keep doing it and you gonna get outrageous with it. And if your parents see you doing something, they get on you right then and there, hey, you ain't gonna do that, boo-boo, you gonna know better. You gonna know not to do this. You might try to sneak and do it, but you ain't just gonna be all out doing it. That's right. So that's how I feel on it. The media shining the light on it, that's a good thing to do. Because they'll think twice before I'm gonna go shoot him in the back. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of videos to be put out, cell phones with camcorders on, a lot of stuff getting shot to the light nowadays because back then cell phones didn't have cameras on them. So you go to the media and be like, look, I was walking down the street, police pulled me over. He asked me for my ID, I gave it to him. And he gets smart with me. I asked him a question back. He told me I get smart. He hit me. It's your word against the law enforcement. You know, just because they got a badge and a gun. Like I said, I know a couple of police officers. I know lieutenants and everything. They nice, but you also got some of them. They feel they got a badge and a gun. They run the world. They rule the world. So they shut up before I do this to you. Shut up. You know, you like, hold on, say what I do. Who you talking back to? And they know it's their words against yours. So they beat on you right there and you try to go tell, they ain't gonna listen to you. So I feel like cell phone, camcorders, and a lot of stuff in technology today getting a lot of this brought to attention that you couldn't get back in the 80s and the 60s and the 70s. So that's how I feel on that.
Yeah, I understand that.
Well, I'll answer
That's
that
true.
twofold. Since one, I used to be the public information officer for a police union where I had to interact with the media a lot. And I learned a lot of the tricks and things that they do behind the scenes. The key thing is that you really want in those situations to get people emotional. You want to get them in a raw state so that you can get the truth from them out of them, or to create something more than what it was not. And that's what turns into the sound bites that get into your subconscious mind for you to recall later, that when you do recall the story 3 or 4 weeks from now, you can always go back in your memory and say, hey, I remember that. So it's a systematic way of keeping the story in your mind based upon, again, what we talked about initially, emotions. Second portion, as you were just talking about a second ago, being a guy who is broadcasting, we were talking about this the other day. I said, it's not the mainstream media that you have to be cognizant about nowadays. It's anybody with a cell phone that has connection to a YouTube account. Everybody is a journalist nowadays, and they're not editing those particular scripts. They're putting it up straight. It's going viral, you know, whether it's going to the Vine or whether it's going to World Star or what have you. That's a whole nother story within inside of itself. So again, it comes from what can we do to create the emotion. Last I'll share is a actual encounter that I had with the late Tupac Shakur. He used to come to a club that we had downtown. It was on Marietta Street. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, it was just at the time when he was having these run-ins with the cops. He was having these run-ins with the cop. And the last one that he had was where he actually got into a shooting with some cops from out of Stockbridge. Well, when he came to our club that I was working off duty at, we stopped him before he got out of the car. And as he was getting out of the car, it was like, Tupac, we know who you are. We know exactly what's been going on. We're not here to cause you no problems, but then again, at the same time, we don't need for those problems to follow you inside of this particular club. So make sure we don't have no issues so there won't be any. He said, well, I appreciate that, but can you help me do a favor? I said, well, what's that? He said, can you tell me when the media is coming? His greatest fear was the media coverage that was going to try to create a scene from wherever he was. We had a truce, we had an agreement, and within 10 minutes, Tupac decided he didn't want to be there at the club anymore because he didn't want the pressure of kids who otherwise thought of him in another type of way other than the great personality that he was, but he didn't want the media coming there and covering something that was negative. We had a win-win situation. So it's a matter, again, of cops and communities coming together. Regardless of how you look or how you're dressed, you still are a United States citizen, and we have to protect your life, liberty, and property.
That's right. I totally agree.
While you have the microphone, I was going to ask you another question or something. Have you been on the other side of the fence, not as an officer, as, you know, somebody walking down the street and been, you know,
profile
before you were an officer or before you came to law enforcement? Have you ever been stopped by the police as far as, you know, profiling or a victim of police brutality?
Well, and yes, and I would like to take this opportunity if I could, and it kind of relates to the two of us. A friend of mine who was an activist in Gary, Indiana. His name originally was Kelly Coleman, but he became very popular as a poet, as an activist, what have you, in Gary, Indiana, where I'm from, and he passed away the other day. So I would like to dedicate this segment to him.
That's right.
But me and Kelly, we had an incident where we were actually stopped by the police only because of gunshots that were heard in the area where we just happened to be walking through the neighborhood. Now, of course, you know, you can have your reasonable suspicion, which is the first standard in use of force or encounter with a person, you know, but we were just like profiled, and we were preppy looking kids that just happened to be inside the neighborhood at the time. But at that time, any person would do, which was the standard of how law enforcement thought at that time. So when we were thrown across the, I think we were the first boys, not from, I mean, in the hood, we were the boys on the hood that were pinned down on top of the police car being searched and found. We had nothing. We had nothing in our pockets, no dope, no guns, but still we were stern, lecturally stern by the police about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Wait a minute, I got a 14th Amendment right to be wherever I want to be, outside of the fact that you could suspect me of creating, or excuse me, of committing a criminal act. So the profiling issue comes along with it, and yes, it's happened to me before, but that helped to mold my understanding of why I came to the police academy. I'm not going to tell you I've not had use of force incidences. I'm not going to tell you that it's always been a pretty scene. But I can tell you that anyone that knows me from the street all across the county know that I'm very fair, consistent, so that what happened to me won't happen to you.
In my understanding, like when I was younger, like one of those things, like the police came to the school, you had the firemen, you had the doctors and everything. And these are one of the things that, like, you ask somebody, ask these young guys, when you grow up, what do you want to be? I want to be the policeman. I want to protect and serve. I want to take care of my community. But now, our kids are scared. They're scared to even, you know, think about the police. And we have to do something to bring that back, because I don't know if y'all live in the same world I live in. It's something going on every day, and we need more cops. We do. So what kind of solution you think that we can come up with to, that we can do together as a community all over the world to change this?
Well, if I can start it off, I want to start it from a rule of law. I want people first and foremost to understand that there is a policy for use of force by law enforcement agencies. In the educational piece of that, that means number one, officer presence. Respecting the officer's presence, that whatever you're doing, stop and give cognizance to resolving the issue. Number two, with that, if the officer does not have respect in his presence, then he can use verbal commands in terms of getting you to comply. If you don't follow those verbal commands, then he can move into contact, such as placing hands. When that does not work, and now the situation gets more viral based upon if weapons are present or the type of force, we're talking about the force continuum, now the person can use non-lethal force, such as tasers, such as pepper spray, depending upon the escalation. And unfortunately, if it comes down to it, we don't want to see it, but if it's necessary, the necessary use of force, now that becomes deadly. And we don't want to see those type of situations where once the force has stopped, then the particular use of force must discontinue from that avenue. So with that, I encourage your audience to understand the lawful use of force. But second, I want the community to also know that there are standards that you can go about to report this type. And I know I'm going to get an onslaught from law enforcement, you know, on both sides, but I don't care because it's reality inside of our community. You have to report the incidences to Internal Affairs. At one time, Internal Affairs was just only for police-involved shootings. They didn't give mindset to use of force, because if you did report it, the officer was going to call the other officer and tell them that you had reported it. That was back in the 60s and the 70s. Okay. But now you have what is called USC 242, reporting those issues under what is known under the color of law. An officer who otherwise misuses his authority. Didn't say that you could not use it, but when you misuse and it becomes excessive, you do have an avenue approach to not only report it to Internal Affairs, but even to the United States Department of Justice for them to see whether or not it's a pattern and practice of that individual officer, or whether or not it's the culture inside of that particular law enforcement agency. So many other things that we could talk about with that, and I'm not giving a plug for the book for sales, but for information. A lot of things are contained in my book called Fruit of the Poisonous Tree that's on iTunes that list your constitutional rights, that list the various laws that cover use of force and police brutality so that we can avoid those things. I educate in the Academy for Police Officers, but I'm happy and glad to be on the show to educate our community.
Definitely. Plug yourself again. What's the name of the book?
The name of the book, thank you very much.
Yeah, plug yourself.
It's called Fruits of the Poisonous Tree. It's available on iTunes. It's very expensive, $5.99. $5.99. You can download the book into your iPad or even inside of your computer.
Okay.
And with that, we have given you the most comprehensive knowledge that no one can ever say, I did not know, because at the end of the day, ignorance is no excuse and contributes to not knowing when you're in that type of situation.
Definitely. And also, while we still talking to you, Mr. Rambo, let them know what you know. I know you're going for. What is it that you about to get ready to do?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Plug yourself. Plug yourself. That's what we're here for.
Well, I'm also running for Fulton County Sheriff in 2016.
Right.
We have a website that is available now for people to see my platform that's called Constitutional Justice, standing up for the rights of the people inside of the community. You can log on at mysherifframbo.com, and please don't hesitate. Feel compelled to make a donation on that website, because if you want true leadership, you have to get it into office.
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back, close it out with these solutions. We still have Sidewalk Slim. We still have Murdoch. We still have Dominique Huff. We still have Lady Red. We still have Silence. We still have No Gravity. We'll be right back.
Don't be held down.
OCG.
$1 million kiss. Hey. $1 million look. $1 million kiss. When I say $1 million look, say $1 million kiss. When I say $1 million look, say $1 million kiss. When I get money, I want my money. Hey, I got $1 million look. $1 million kiss, $1 million whip. I got $1 million wrist. I'm getting money, more money, money, more money, money, more money, I got $1 million look, $1 million kiss, $1 million whip. I got $1 million wrist. Money, money, more money, money, more money, look. See, I'm $1 million man with $1 million plan. Get $1 million, buy me up a lot of land. Get another $1 million, buy me up a million van. OCG gon' tour the world and pop $1 million rubber bands. See, you understand, I'm $1 million in the making. If you thought I wouldn't make it, see that where you were mistaken. $1 million mind, so I make $1 million moves. I got $1 million haters, so I keep $1 million too. Been in the mall 1,000 times, but got $1 million pair of shoes. Man, I'm only 20 and I done send $1 million boo. I just feel like money, you can't do the things I do. $1 million dude, you can't screw the girls I screw. Oh. $1 million kiss, $1 million will. I got $1 million wrist. I'm getting money, more money, what? Money, more money, what? Money. Hey, that right? I got $1 million look, $1 million kiss, $1 million will. I got $1 million wrist. Hey, I got $1 million hustle. You can see I'm on my grind. Got no time for these haters. I got millions on my mind. Know you like the way I shine. I bring vision to the blind. Lot of people say they getting money. I think they be lying. If you do not see me riding, then you probably kept me flying. Spend $1 million. Blowing $1 million, and see these girls that I'm with, they so $1 million fine. If they ever get harassed, that's $1 million crime. I'm $1 million man. Take a picture when I walk. Yes, my words be expensive. Pay attention when I talk. It ain't nothing to about. You seen $1 million look, you heard $1 million voice. Now say that $1 million hook. Check. That right, $1 million kiss, $1 million will. I got $1 million wrist. I'm getting money. Money, 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 that money. I got $1 million look, $1 million kiss, $1 million whoop, $1 million wrist. Hey, okay, go down there.
Hey, I got $1 million. $1 million. I make 1 million ladies scream cause I am the doctor who do it proper more better than a murder. I leave her face known like I shot it up with Botox. I've been getting money since the first show with Matlock. Lock the game down with my verse of human padlock. $1 million dude, pocket filled up like a mailbox. And I've been getting money so I'm something like a paste top. Trying to take my money, then it gonna be a chaos. Mother Mayor. Hey, Mother Mayor. Hey, Mother Mayor. Show her how $1 million walk. Hey, hold up. Let me show her how $1 million talk. $1 million look. $1 million kiss. $1 million look. I got $1 million wrist. I'm getting money. We getting money. Hey, no gravity. What we do? Hey, $1 million look. $1 million kiss. $1 million look. I got $1 million wrist. I'm getting money.
Okay, we right back in No Gravity.
No
How you
Gravity,
doing,
don't be held down. I'm doing good.
Loving this topic.
It's an intense topic.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of good information, education,
Yeah,
of
definitely.
course.
And we're talking about the solution right now, so we're going to go back over here. Holler at Murdoch.
Okay, if I give my opinion on the solution, where I think communication is the key to everything, actions speak louder than words. Instead of, you got so many people like living today with so much stuff built up in their mind that they don't really get out and let people know what they can do. Like they hold it inside and they die with it. They go in their grave with it. It's so much talent that people got that they don't put out there. And I feel the solution is coming together and talking. A lot of time when you shout, people don't want to listen to you. If you sit down and you talk to them calmly, you can get it done. Like a lot of people, the police had to put their hands on them because they scream, "Hey, get your hands off me, man. Who you on?" Instead of saying, "Look, officer, I know my rights. You don't supposed to be doing it." And talk to them like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the community need to come together and instead of just on the negativity stuff, like okay, like a lot of people might, "What you doing tonight?" "I'm going to the club tonight." We doing. A lot of people need to get together. Like my organization, OCG, Only Controlled by God. Like we feed the homeless on Wednesdays. We giving away turkeys. Like when school started back, I went around and I helped all the single mothers who couldn't get child nothing. But you gotta let people know that there's still people out there with a positive energy in them. You can't you can't revolve yourself around negative energy, because if you wake up with negative energy on your mind, that's what your whole day gonna be revolved around, negative energy. So you gotta wake up and be like, okay, today I'm gonna set out to make this goal happen, and I'm gonna try to do something back for the community that I came from. You can't get your money and run and leave where these young dudes around here doing all this, doing that. You like, oh yeah, they young, they gotta learn like I learned. You don't want to do that. You always want to pull them and let them know you don't want to go through this. Because just because I survived and made it out don't mean you would do it. So I just feel like the solution that everything got to be is everybody got to compromise and come together and know that if you don't talk, you ain't going to get nothing done. So that's how I feel about getting everything done. Everybody needs to speak their opinion. Whatever on your mind and your brain, get it off of there, because ain't nothing going to get done with it sitting in your head. So
that's right. And again, what's the name of your record label? What you have coming up?
OCG. I got a lot of things coming up. Right now, I'm on No Gravity TV. Give it up.
That's right. That's right.
I got a lot of music. I got a lot of stuff. I start my tour in January 2015. Like I do a lot of music in Atlanta areas. Like I really don't do open mics now. But like if you want like my main hit I'm doing now is I got $1 million look. I got a lot of projects going on. I also got my own home improvement business called Mr. Perfect Painter, where I do home improvement, roof and gutter and all that, just to put that out there. So yeah, that's about mostly it is, and I'm just trying to make sure I can get back to the community and help the young generation come up instead of just feeding them negative energy and letting them think that the only way you can come out of the hood is selling drugs. That ain't the only way.
That's right.
So it's more that you can do than that, and just because you grew up and your relative, your older siblings was doing this and doing that, don't mean you had to follow in them footsteps. You got your own mind and your own life, so make sure you make the best out of it while you're here.
That's right. Thank you, Murdoch, for being on the show.
I definitely say we got to do more community engagement and more community awareness. The first thing that I would recommend for all of us to do is we got to really start taking our communities back and showing these people that we care. Because you go to neighborhoods that look like this versus this, there's a lot more involvement. So we got to start showing up to community meetings, town hall meetings, getting involved in these organizations, and really working on the broken window theory. When you look at the broken window theory, we got to start first policing ourselves. Then once we police ourselves, then we can police the police. when you have these camera phones, if you see something, anything, not just police misconduct, get that on your camera phone, but also anything else that you see in your neighborhood, because you can use that technology now to report those issues. We got to start being stewards and gatekeepers at our own brother's keeper. Know your rights. Know your constitutional rights when it comes to certain things. If you feel that something's going wrong at a traffic stop, the traffic stop is where most of us get called up at. I ask for a supervisor. If that officer is not giving me the service that I need, or he or she's trying to be aggressive, say, you know what, can you call your supervisor out here? And they have to call their supervisor if you request that. So make them call their supervisor. Some officers will tell you, oh, this traffic stop is being recorded, good. I would like to get a copy of this tape through open records. Do an open records request. You have to pay for it, but get a copy of that tape so you can have it through your records. Thirdly, the city of Atlanta and the city of Pine Lake are doing a program where they want to put cameras on the officers. If you want to see cameras on Atlanta police officers, if you're a city of Atlanta resident, I'm on the corporate folder, so this won't apply to us. Call Felicia Moore, Councilwoman Felicia Moore. I don't have her office number. Look her up online and tell her that you support her legislation putting cameras on police officers in the city of Atlanta. If you're in DeKalb, the city of Pine Lake, George Chibi, Chibi, he's pushing that for his city. So definitely let them know they get public support, and also start being more engaged with these departments, doing ride-alongs with these departments. Like wherever area you live in, you can ride along with the police. See what they look at do for one day. They say, I want to ride along. I want to go to the roughest beat. I don't want no easy beat. Give me a hard beat that I want to go there so I can definitely see. Because I've done that through many agencies, and the stuff that you see will open your eyes up. And lastly, the other thing too, challenge the police to get involved with your stuff. When you have community meetings, make them show up. If you have community events, bring them out there, because many of them do have community awareness orbs in their departments. Like the sheriff does their great program, their DARE program. Fulton County does their, I forgot the name of the initiative, but they always send officers out with the police cars and the kids to run through. But we got to start forging that partnership, and sometimes we got to be willing to reach that orb out ourselves.
You have anything else coming up?
Pretty much in a nutshell, I'm bringing back my news. Well, actually, we're reviving our online newspaper, Homebrew News.
Okay.
HOMERULENEWS.com. Getting ready to put some new content up there. I've been busy with the Business Coalition side. The Dominic Hub episodes, my radio show is about to come back on. People have asked to bring it back. I'm very non-PC, and I talk about issues like this. I would love to have all you guys on our show pretty soon. Okay. And we're going to work on producing a series of community events next year. So definitely big year for 10th Amendment Media Group.
That's good. So we're looking at the next mayor, something like that. Senator, something like that.
It was to be next sheriff until he ran. But,
okay.
But he crushed my dreams on that. But I tell people I'm a public servant first. I definitely want to do more on the streets. But don't be surprised in the next couple of years you see my name on the ballot or something.
All right, I'm going to vote for you. That sound good. We probably vote for you. You sound good.
Appreciate it.
So we're going to close out. We're going to get to talk to Mr. Sidewalk Slim over here.
Hey, anything that I can possibly say, these guys have already said it. It's a blessing to be here. Gravity, Red, Solid, we already have history. It's an honor to meet you guys. Everything that you guys have said, it is the truth. From the officer to Mr. Huff to Murdoch right here. The only thing that I can possibly say is education and recommendation. And education, we need to educate ourselves, educate each other. Don't stay silent. Like you said, a closed mouth does not get fed. Let's be cordial towards each other. I like what you recommended. Let's go down to these departments and get these officers involved and ride around with them and see what it's like, through their lens or whatnot. You understand? But then reprimand it. I think, and this is really my honest opinion, it doesn't really start at the police precinct. It starts with these politicians, with these mayors, with these sheriffs. You understand? These are the ones that are actually in charge. You understand what I'm saying? So know who you're voting for. Educate yourself on who you're voting for, because we complain so much, but yet we stand in line for so long to place a ballot for people that we rarely know. And when they get in and they don't do what we're expecting for them to do, now we got the boo-boo phase.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So educate yourself, and I think the ones that are in charge of these officers or whatnot, do what you're supposed to do when you're in a leadership position. You are only as great as the people that you lead. And so if the people around you aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's going to be a bad look on you. And that's the only thing about it. We need more good people. You know, our people alone have come a long way. You know, whether we mayors, you know, there was a time our vote didn't count. There was a time when you wouldn't see our faces in courthouses as judges and sheriffs and elite members on these boards. You understand? So I don't take that lightly. And I think we've come a long way as a people, but we still got a long way to go as a community. So let's just educate each other. Let's respect each other. We all have a reason to exist. We all should be respected. And let's just do our due diligence in regards to each other. And that's pretty much the only thing I can say in regards to that.
Right. So you have, plug yourself. What you have in the projects going on?
I do music. I'm an entertainer.
Okay.
Motivational speaker. My daughter, whom is here, she's in the audience. Her name is Serenity Marie. She has the Serenity Marie Foundation. And what we do is we feed the kids. We give back as often as we can give. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just doing the music. I'm not really here for the props. I appreciate the plugs. I have a couple of shows that are going around here in Atlanta. I've been all over the country doing shows. I've been on radio stations. I've been doing this for quite some time. Just Google me, Wilbur Wright, Instagram, Wilbur Wright, Facebook, Wilbur Wright, SoundCloud, Wilbur Wright.
All right,
just
Mr.
look me
Wilbur
up and you'll
Wright.
find out everything you need to know.
Okay, we'll be right back in No Gravity. Hey, this Lady Red. Welcome back to No Gravity. We had a great show, a great topic, police brutality. This is also the other host, this Silence. He's also a great artist and everything. Y'all make some noise for him. Make some noise for him. Go ahead and talk to him.
All right, No Gravity, don't be held down. I'm going to hold y'all up. Look. Becoming the man. Asking the Lord to keep my confidence up. Tears fall, let them drop in the cup. Asking the church to bless the waters that them fell from the soul. If I should die, pour the tears over the hole, and from the ground I will grow as a tree with the knowledge of the earth and the knowledge of my worth. Thank my father for acknowledging my birth. Thank my mother for carrying deliverance safely. Thank everybody that loved me and anybody that hate me. Only God can judge me, anybody can rate me. I am guided by this light, go anywhere that it takes me. Wanna serve, but don't even deserve to be served. And my words only seem like words they never heard. No action is ever taken, distracted by hesitation. I don't care, but the fear's still there if hell is waiting. Where is the elevation in the book? Take a look, the answer's inside of you, if you call them like I do. So I pray and I bathe daily, trying to keep these sins off me. Hope that when I go, the death angel kiss softly. Lost we are, and it's hard to find a way back. When we do, it's beautiful, no longer physical. Free from the world and its pain. But in my mind, I'm like, God, I want front line to rid the world of the shame. Equip me with wings and wisdom so that I may return to speak it, to preach it, to teach it till they learn. To date told I love that don't love me. And let them know that true beauty is shown when they in the ugly. Start forgiving yourself, then forgiving them. Remembering who you are and never forgetting him.